sun's out, so dads are too. This Father's Day at Lowe's, shop the gear that'll make his summer. Get 2 free Select DeWalt power tools when you buy a Select 5 amp-hour battery kit for weekends in the garage. Plus, get a free Blackstone 6-piece stainless steel griddle kit when you buy a Select Blackstone griddle. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 6/24. While supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Hey, I'm Harrison Prentice, and for years I kept putting my dream of making music on the back burner. Then I decided it was time to stop waiting and go all in. That journey inspired my new song, Monsters. It's about confronting the fears, doubts, and inner battles that we all face. So if you've ever felt like you were carrying something heavy that no one else could see, this song is for you. Check out Monsters wherever you listen to your music and follow me on social media at Harrison_Prentice Music. Thanks for listening.
I sleep with the lights on these days.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
He gave me a book on art forgery. I found myself drawn to these old masters. How did these artists take paint from a palette, arrange it on a canvas? I began to unlock the secrets. I was a storehouse of knowledge of how to create an illusion, present it to an experienced expert, manipulate his mind, and convince him and bring him to the inevitable conclusion that the painting is genuine. We flooded the market with my paintings, and I couldn't believe what I did. I couldn't believe it. Then the dominoes started falling, and eventually the FBI were led to my door. They uncovered a mountain of evidence against me.
But they never actually got you. At this point, you've sold a lot. You've got like $1 million in cash. You sold one painting for $717,000. Why did it go away? Why did you never get indicted? And how are we having this conversation?
I guess that's the greatest story of all.
To hear how Ken Perenni made millions in art forgery, dodged the mafia and the FBI, subscribe to The Jordan Harbinger Show and check out episode 282 in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening now.
I'm Alice.
And I'm Brett.
And this is The Prosecutor's Legal Briefs. Welcome back to The Prosecutor's Legal Briefs. I'm your host, Alice, and I'm joined, as always, by my completely fanboyed co-host, Brett.
It is so true, Alice. I'm not even going to talk during this episode. I'm just going to sit here and be very happy to be a part of this experience.
I agree. That's not an exaggeration. Brett's blushing right now. He can't fully hold himself together. He normally doesn't wear a hat. I think he's wearing it just to keep his hair on his head because he's so excited because we have our absolutely favorite friend of the podcast, Alison Sweeney, back on the show. Alison, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me back. I'm so excited to chat with you both.
Wow. Okay.
Once co-host of this show.
One co-hosted.
Part-time co-host.
I don't know if I've said this to you, Allie, directly, but I'd like to, for the record, to show Brett what a good co-host I am. Brett was like, Alison Sweeney is willing to come on the show. You don't have to be there if you don't want to be. And I was like, you don't want me to be there, right? And he's like, no, I would love for you, but it would just be like a dream come true if I just got to talk to her by myself. And I said, I'll call in sick for you because it made him so happy.
Oh, well, it was so much fun. I felt like super legit. I loved stepping into your shoes very briefly, of course. I don't know nearly as much as you do, but I was happy to be a part of the show. And I thought you were like pregnant or maybe just had your baby. So I felt I was really doing, you
were
sort
doing
of
me a
good
huge
deed.
favor.
Yeah.
You were doing the greatest deed. I'm kind of kidding because Brett definitely asked me like, you don't want to come on, right? Right, Alice? Don't come on. But I do have to take issue with something you just said. You said you're not the expert. You're not legit about the law. And I have to say, we are here today to talk about a specific project that I think proves every one of those statements completely wrong.
No.
So those of you who know and love Allie Sweeney know that she is our own Hannah Swensen on Hallmark. And not only is she Hannah Swensen, she writes the scripts, which I truly think is phenomenal.
Oh,
and
thanks.
we got this tiny view into your thought process for the latest mystery, which is a legal drama called Best Served Cold that is now on Hallmark Plus. You should go watch it. If you haven't, what is wrong with you? I've watched it 3 times, not an exaggeration. I watched it on the plane all 3 times and got everyone around me invested, and we were all watching it together. But it is a legal drama. And yes, it's made for entertainment, but you do incredible research and thought behind wanting to show the judicial process and kind of the law enforcement process in the most accurate light possible. So I want to say thank you and congratulations on your newest film.
Well, thank you. And thank you to both of you for helping me. I mean, I had, just for all you prosecutors fans, you have to know Brett and Alice, like, talk to me for, I don't know, an hour and just brainstormed with me and listened to me ask, silly questions and good, probably mixed in with some hopefully good questions. And then you really walked me through possible scenarios that I could make this story work. And I was taking these, serial killer type notes as we were talking. And when I got to actually writing it, that helped me so much. So I hope you noticed little ideas that you had that day that made their way into the script, because I can't even tell you how valuable it was to talk to you both about it.
So we obviously enjoyed that very much, but I do have to ask, why is it so important to you that the courtroom scenes have that level of accuracy? I mean, obviously we see these legal dramas all the time, and oftentimes they're not that realistic, but yours actually are. So why is that important to you?
So, well, you'll remember my husband was a police officer, a detective. So from the get-go, I can't even watch like a cop drama with him without, 37 comments about like, why are they rolling sirens? The person's dead. Like, there's no sirens. Stop it. What's happening right now? And so I get a lot of that kind of critique about, law enforcement, police type activity. So I've really tried to honor as much as you can. I mean, it is an entertainment. You are going for the drama and the fun of it. So I try to walk that line and really be able to defend it to him when we're watching. But the legal stuff, I actually served on a jury one time and found myself in, are you allowed? It's been years. So
You're
I can tell you
talk.
that
The jurors can
in
talk.
retrospect, there were people there who were suffering from like the CSI effect. And I was looking around like, what are we talking about right now? What's happening? That's not real life. That's a TV show. Why is that even happening in this room right now? And I just thought if I had the opportunity to write these shows, I would want to be part of the, not, I guess, solution, but like, I don't want to make it worse. So if I can tell story, and I think real drama is fascinating. I was actually went back and watched a lot of the Johnny Depp trial. There's parts of that are real. That's all real life. It takes hours and hours, but there are moments of that are fascinating, and you can cut into it and try to honor that and still tell a story. So for my purposes, I don't want the audience to ever go, oh, come on, that's ridiculous. Other than the part where we find the dead body. Well, if you could get past that, then, I want to have the audience with me throughout and willing to buy in on my story.
I mean, I just have to say, if you haven't watched this, you just heard dead body. There's so much drama. You know me. I don't like anything scary. There was a dead body in this movie. I did shield my eyes during it because I knew he was going to be dead and I got scared, but I still watched it. So you too can handle it, everybody. But
yeah, we keep it super clean.
At some point, you need to be charged with one of these murders because you keep finding the bodies. It's like Murder, She Wrote.
Have you
I know.
Somebody died.
At some point, people are going to start to wonder.
I don't know. Are we cooking up another movie here? Falsely charged, of course.
People always joke. All the crew always jokes. At the end, it would be like, what was that series where Dexter? Like at the end, it turns out she actually did them all. She did it all. So
she put little bits of her crime in all of her baking.
There you go.
That's a little dark. Okay, so there's the side of what drives you to have accurate courtroom drama. But then there's the added layer, and we haven't had to deal with this, but mainstream media, a lot of people like in the executive boardroom, they know exactly where they want to go with a show, and they may not be invested or know anything about, legal dramas. So how you've obviously brought along a lot of people to your way of thinking and writing these types of scripts that, I've watched really all the Hannah Swensens, and they are all the same vein of entertaining, but really accurate in terms of how the police go about investigations. So you are doing, amazing work and getting all these producers and networks to go along with your view of how we can write entertainment. How do you do that?
So, obviously I come into the room with that background. And so people know, and it is super helpful. I will tell you, when I'm arguing about a clue or a certain detail, I love being able to be like, well, actually that really happened in a true crime case. I'm happy to repeat back to you like the whole story of how this all unfolded. Or, well, my husband told me that that's what cops say when they're roping off the crime scene or whatever. So I love like having a little gravitas behind me when I have these conversations. But for the most part, actually, Hallmark is super on board because there's plenty of the other stuff out there, right? Like there is no lack of zombies and violence and whatever else you're looking for. There's plenty of channels that offer that. What I love about working for Hallmark is we're doing something a little different, a little more like that, if your kid walked in the room, no one is freaking out. Like when my children were young and we were watching Game of Thrones and I was like, oh, I think they're awake. Everyone, I'm like running out to check to make sure they're not on the stairs. Like I just, I think there's something nice about that. And then also that you feel safe watching it, knowing it's all going to be okay. It might be fun. Hopefully we had some twists and turns that surprise you, but you come in knowing what this brand is and we're going to give it to you. And I like that. And so I've never had any pushback from Hallmark about that. And what I try to do is deliver like the best. What I try really hard on and spend the most time on are what are the clues that a woman would pick up on. And then what I have developed over the course of the series is that the cops have their own, it's a lot of extra work that I spend time on that maybe isn't even in the movie. But I think a lot about, okay, here's what the cops would pursue in their course of action. And then what are the normal like rumors and gossip and what's the real life thing she notices because she is at that crime scene that she might remember and that would help her solve it without DNA evidence, without all the bells and whistles that the cops have. And then hopefully, what I really like is if they both come to it with their own experience. And so she's not outshining them. She just has her own, natural gift for it.
So you're obviously a huge true crime fan. I think most people know that. I mean, it's the passion of yours. So I'll just ask you, how did you get into true crime? And, there's so many different things you can do at Hallmark. They have all sorts of different stuff. Did you know I really want to do a mystery solving series because of your love of true crime, or did it just sort of fall in your lap?
Both. So what I love about, when I first got involved with Hallmark was the rom-coms and Christmas movies, and those are super fun and I love doing them. But the real fun about mysteries is there is a little action. You get sometimes a stunt in there. And that's honestly like the most fun. When we were producing that sequence, not in this movie, but in the last one, there was like a fight sequence that my co-star Victor, who is the prosecutor, he got in a little bit of a scuffle and shooting that scene. And I'm like in the background in the kitchen, like pulling out a spatula to try to help him. That was so fun and cool. And I felt like legit. And so I've gotten to do some cool stunts where he pulled me in from almost a hit and run, right? Like he literally lifted me up and took me out of the street. And then I had one where I was like hanging off a cliff and he had to pull me up off I had this whole harness and he rescues me. It's just stuff like that's really fun to shoot and just different. So that's one of the reasons I love doing the mysteries. And then the other reason is, yes, I'm a fan of crime, mysteries. Like this one, of course, was very more sort of Perry Mason-ish. I grew up watching Perry Mason with my mom and Murder, She Wrote and Columbo. Like I love a moment when you can be like, oh, one more thing, walking out. So yeah, that's so satisfying. And then laying in enough clues, because nothing's more frustrating than watching one of those shows and they don't give you enough that you could have figured it out. It's fine that I don't, but I want to watch it again and be like, oh, that's where that clue came in the first time and I missed it. Like that's what I'm aiming for.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. And shopping for it shouldn't feel like squeezing into something that just doesn't fit. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they show you options that fit your budget. Enough hunting for discounts, trying to calculate rates, and tinkering with coverages. Maybe you're picking out your very first policy. Or maybe you're just looking for something that works better for you and your family. Either way, they make it simple to see your options. No guesswork, no surprises. Ready to see how easy and fun shopping for car insurance can be? Visit Progressive.com and give the Name Your Price tool a try. Take the stress out of shopping and find coverage that fits your life on your terms. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you might not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Ever notice how life's best stories don't happen in your living room? They happen on the open road, out on the water, or parked under the stars. At Progressive, they get that you want to focus on the experience, not worry about the what-ifs. That's why they offer quality insurance designed for your ride, whether that's a boat, RV, or motorcycle. Adventure with confidence. Visit Progressive.com and see how easy it is to protect your favorite way to get away. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in D.C. Prices vary based on how you buy.
MeTV is America's #1 classic TV entertainment network, airing over 60 of the greatest TV series every week. Now, MeTV presents The Golden Girls of Summer, showcasing the best of the Golden Girls. Watch Dorothy, Blanche, Rose, and Sophia weeknights on MeTV at 10 p.m. 9 Central. Log on to MeTV.com now to find out where to watch MeTV free over the air and on cable, satellite, and select streaming services. MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
You know, the sort of introductory scene for all these where you're making something, where you're baking something, always has a huge clue. Like if you're watching the movie within the first 20 seconds, listen carefully because there's always a big clue right there.
I just got hungry for chocolate cheesecake. So I went and got me a slice of chocolate cheesecake and then I came back.
By the way, they are delicious delicacies. The ones that are the best are the ones that Dolores eats. She always has these like cute, like as big as her face, like double chocolate cookies. And it's so funny because she's such a healthy eater. She's very conscientious. But when we do those scenes, she's like, oh, I guess I just have to eat another one. Like, they disappear.
That was
the
actually
tray.
a question of mine. So obviously you're a baker in the movie. Are those goods that you guys are constantly pulling out and making and boxing up, are they real? Please tell me they're real.
They are real.
So who's eating?
And so the crew at the end of the night, they are gone, right? And then the worst part is sometimes you have to save them for the next day. And then it gets a little dodgy, right? You're like, oh, how long have they been on this set? So we have fresh ones that come in for that day's filming. And then they call them the hero cookie for the day. And then those disappear at the end of the day. And then we have some that are like 4 or 5 days old that are rock hard. And you're like, oh, it's no longer tempting. But
I really appreciate you answering that because I was distracted by my third time watching it. Instead of looking for clues, I was looking at everything being taken out and I was like, is that cannoli real? Because I could really eat that cannoli.
So sometimes the truth is like when you're scanning past the shelves inside, they might not be all real. There's actually amazing fake products you can put in there that we use, but I really am sensitive to that. Again, I feel there's a lot of bakers, a lot of people who cook and bake who watch our shows. So I want to make sure that everything that you see close up is real and edible. And, sometimes the guest stars who come in and like they have to, eat again and again after take. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but that is what you agreed to. That is the role here today.
There are worse things that an actor has to do.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about one of my favorite characters.
Isn't she the best?
So Barbara Niven plays her. How much of her character is Barbara versus you or other writers?
Well, we've played these roles for over 10 years now, and she's really developed it. I think in the first ones, it was a little more cutting, a little more. And in the books, the premise is, because they are based on a series of 30 novels by Joanne Fluke, Hannah Swensen Mysteries, and she developed this great character. Hannah is the sort of the black sheep of her family. Like, she's the one that her mother, she just never dresses right. She's always too, she doesn't wear enough makeup. And her mom is like the beauty queen who's always perfectly turned out. So that's the premise from the books that I thought really works in the movie, that she, and I loved, one of my favorite parts is that, Alice, you would have noticed that like Hannah did have a court appropriate dress, and she wore it to like watch her mother. And then when it's her turn, she's like, oh, how is this possible?
I really loved that outfit though, that you were on the stand in. It was you can totally pull off plaid, by the way.
It was cute. But I was like, I just wanted it to be like, of course that's not the right thing. And she's mortified and she knows that's not right, but inevitably she ends up in the wrong clothes. And I think that's a fun balance. So all that is to say, Barbara is not like that. She is the most like loving, generous, kind, wonderful person. And then she finds these little quirks for Dolores that are just hilarious. And she's just that good an actress.
She is. You guys are all fantastic in this. Okay. This is just a little pet. Like, I really love that you did this. I love that you made the defense counsel, who's very adversarial, obviously, to the prosecutor, a strong woman who wasn't mean, though. She was just good at her job. I actually love that because that's actually a very difficult thing to write. And even though we're prosecutors, we talk about it all the time. We actually love defense counsel. You want good defense counsel on the other side. And the way you wrote her, she was obviously not in that many scenes, but I really appreciated the way you wrote a strong woman attorney who was good at her job and not pushover, but not mean.
Yeah. Right. What we talked about in shooting those scenes actually with her, because I think some of my dialogue could have been, she was just a really good actress who understood the moment. But what I said is like, you have to win that jury over too. Like, you cannot be, one of those women that other women don't like. There was one moment that we did a couple takes of, because Dolores has this line where she says, that she's a PI, but usually she deals with cheating spouses or whatever. And a defense attorney says like, oh, or what, I can't remember exactly what the line is, but some sort of like sentence, and it wasn't a question. And then Dolores says, was that a question? And I said to both women, like, this is such a narrow, like, it's so careful, because you do want to point out that she just chases cheating husbands. Like, this is not her thing, but you cannot piss off the jury and make them hate you. And then Dolores also has to walk this fine line of like genuinely asking, are you asking me a question right now? Or, and we all have that fun, you just want to be snarky. And I'm like, there is no snark in the scene. We have to be so careful. And both actresses were sensational, but I felt like that was a really important moment for me in that dynamic, that everyone has a point of view that's strong, and they, they're doing what they can for their client. They're doing their best to win them over. And no one would be stupid enough to be, not no one, but you don't want to be stupid enough to piss off a jury. Like, you're going to lose them. I learned that from you.
I wasn't going to say that, but no, but really well done on that.
Yay.
So I do want to talk about one of the new characters, the judge. His name I forget, but I wonder how you
how did she? It's winner. I can't remember.
With such
what was his name?
Brilliance, and yet sturdy leadership,
and also he likes cookies.
Cookies. He's good looking. What was your inspiration?
What was my inspiration for that?
Well,
okay, so I want everyone to know that, yes, first of all, I had never heard the expression rocket docket until you guys told me on the call. And I was like, that's genius. That's definitely going into the movie. And that flew off the shelves. Everyone loved it. And then when it came time to pick a name for this judge, I was like, gee, there's only one name that springs to mind. And I went for it. So Judge Talley, it is. And he's definitely coming back.
You do know Brett has now died and gone to heaven, right? you do know this, right? Nobody in his life will hear the end of this. You have this is like literally he has died and gone to heaven. He still can't stop blushing. Notice those of you who are not watching this.
It's a red shirt. It's reflecting. He can't help it. Exactly. It's just the red shirt. And then also just a fun note is like, I did put that in the script, is that he's like, because I was worried also about the timeline of that whole moment with like her being, the voir dire, but
No one knows
got
that.
differently.
Got it.
But that seemed like it would take a long time, and I didn't have anything to cut to. I was like, oh my gosh, is there not a way? And then I feel like either we talked about it, or I've definitely heard you say like judges can just decide. And then I also thought, right, like that he gets to play that role 2 times actually, is that he's like, I get to decide who testifies in my courtroom. And all of a sudden, the one time she kind of went over her skis a little bit, he, now all of a sudden this girl's testifying that she didn't want. And then the next time when she's like, I've eaten the cookie jar, like, listen, lady, it's pretty good, right? Like, that was he gets to be the decider of those moments. And I thought that was great. And then she has to sort of agree like, oh yes, of course. And then we were doing the scene, and I had this moment while we were filming that I thought, like, wouldn't it be funny because one of the things about Hannah, again, is that she recognizes people. She's good with her customers. She remembers stuff, little details. And so to remember what his favorite cookie was, it just felt like a fun little surprise. And then for him to be like, oh yeah, I love it. And then like he played that so great. I love that moment.
I'm sorry. I've been waiting. I can't believe that wasn't Brett's first question.
Yeah,
I was baiting him.
Okay.
Yeah, you were like holding it in. You're waiting. I love it.
For the right moment. And I'll just say this, and not just because of the judge, but I thought all your courtroom scenes are great. I don't know about the baking scenes because I'm not a baker, but it sounds like you really having to balance a lot of different groups of people who are looking for authenticity.
Keep them all happy.
But I thought they were great. I thought it was really good, and it was really entertaining. So if that's what you were shooting for, in my view, you nailed it.
How, I had to, the timeline felt, forced a bit, but I feel like there was a case just recently where the defense did want to proceed. And so I sort of thought I had like a little wiggle room there where she could be like, I'm not waiting. Let's go. Even though he passed away. I mean, that felt a little extreme, but
no, what you have to say in your next script is justice delayed is justice denied. So absolutely. And when the light bulb went off in the defense counsel's head, when she was like, oh, you need the records from me. She's like, heck yeah, let's go to trial. A defense attorney really would do that. So, look, I don't know, especially criminal cases, and you have the prosecutor missing and you don't have the files. If I'm the defense counsel, I'm rushing. Yeah,
you got new prosecutors having to fill in.
Yeah.
And the whole, like, she's waited for her day. She wants it. Yeah, I mean, I actually think it's 100% accurate. I think if the defendant had a trial date coming up,
right,
and they said, we want to go, because there was nothing about the prosecution's case. Just because he died, you can't prosecute him. So that sucks for you. But you're supposed to be able to prosecute both of them independently. So yeah, I thought it was perfect. You nailed that.
Good. Oh my gosh, that's so great.
So people should have already watched this because it came out, like a week ago. Why should people watch it more than once? I can give you reasons why I watched it 3 times in a row, but you tell people, what you love about this particular one.
Well, I love the courtroom. I love that there's 2 different cases to follow. And so it kind of feels divergent and then maybe, dovetails into each other. So that was fun for me to write. And I think there's a lot of specifics about it that make it fun to watch again. And then I think it's always fun once you know who the killer is, or what all unfolded, to watch it back. Cause I think the actors we had in this are so solid that all our guest stars can really give you something to see now that you know what you're looking for. Like it gives you a little more complexity. When you watch it again, you'll see all those nuances. So that's another fun reason to watch again. And then for me personally, like I love the family moments. I love the dinner scenes. I love every Dolores scene. I love the cat. Stuff like that is always for me, and then of course the little romantic moments. And then this particular one, there was a little tension. I thought we got to see Chad getting a little frustrated with the situation he was in, and, in a Hallmark frustrated kind of way. But and then, sorry, the answer goes on and on, but I really wanted to represent how much it means to him. That was another really important opportunity for me, because it wasn't a murder trial he was prosecuting. These people lost their life savings, and I wanted him to, that weighs on him. That weighs on you guys. I mean, there's a lot of people who want not just their, I don't know if they get restitution, but the justice of it. You cannot go around taking advantage of people like that. And I loved him having that opportunity to for it to matter so much to him.
And for those of you who haven't seen it, if you need even more encouragement to see it, it does have two mysteries. It's a more complex story than you normally have. It starts off with a missing prosecutor.
Yeah.
So you have a prosecutor who goes missing. We don't know where he is. This trial's coming up. Chad has to step in and handle it. Doesn't really know a lot. And we talked about this with Allie before. That's very realistic. Prosecutors often walk into a courtroom and get handed a file and then have to prosecute the case immediately. So nothing.
And judges don't slow down for prosecutors changing. Defense counsel, absolutely, but not prosecutors changing.
And did you like when he calls the other prosecutor, hey, buddy, like covered for you today. Would be great if you came in and like caught me up on this case, like just waiting to hear from you. Let me know. I wanted him to be, because he's, got his act together. He's a smart guy, but it starts to add up for him.
Oh,
I felt like
we've all had those fellow attorneys who, left us holding the bag. And when you're in court, the judge doesn't care. They're going to yell at the body that's at the table, and it's going to be you.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's the most realistic thing in the whole show is the number of times that you're either in a courtroom or like standing by someone's desk when a call comes in that some prosecutor's not there, or you're literally, I mean, it happens. You're in the courtroom to handle something else and your colleague is nowhere to be found and no one knows where they are. And the judge is like, can you handle this? And you just have to do it. So,
oh my gosh, that's crazy. I actually didn't know. I mean, there's just that one famous case of the true crime case of that prosecutor who went missing. And I didn't realize like people just don't turn up for work. Like, that's so annoying.
Typically they don't, but
you'd think. So let me ask you this. When you're thinking about topics for future movies, do you ever try and draw inspiration from ongoing true crime cases? Is that something that inspires you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think like, for example, the very first one I produced, like the Mara Murray case, had really inspired me. And mostly just as a storyteller, like I wanted to have an ending to that story. And so I had a missing person and, like a childhood friend, and she goes and finds her. And then I, of course, in my mind, like it all works out. She did take on a new life and like leave her past behind and, start over. And we find her and it all, it resolved itself. And I just, stuff like that, I feel that was the first sort of how it started for me, actually. And then there's certain cases that, I listen to Dateline a lot, and like, there's just interesting clues that are so like, you just can't believe it. Like there was one case and I don't really even remember the case, but I know the killer literally took other shoes and glued them onto their shoe to like make sure that the footprints didn't look like their own shoe size to mislead the investigators. And I was like, that's an amazing and preposterous thing to do. Like, I think that's interesting and good for TV. So a lot of little details like that, I think are interesting to include. And for people who really pay attention, they'll notice a lot of those details, because like what people do in real life is crazy.
We always say, reality is stranger than fiction already.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I was going to mention to you guys tonight, because one of the cases that's really blown me away recently is that Corey Richins case.
Mm-hmm. Walk the dog.
And Walk the Dog. But it's really the book. For some reason, that kid's book about grief, and then she didn't even write it, which is also crazy. But like, I don't know why that really feels like, man, after everything that just happened, now you're going to monetize this? Like the insanity of that is extreme to me.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that is never unrealistic is how you can write people as crazy as you want them to be because there's somebody out there who would do it. That one is wild. And we talked about that on the Legal Briefs episode, but just the facts of that case. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the show yet, close your ears. Kind of a poisoning type case.
Yeah.
Your current.
Yeah.
show. Was that
Which is,
inspired by the Corey Richins case at all? Or
no. So there was a case, actually, the allergy thing was interesting to me because I feel like you would really want to, and I think people are, it's kind of weird and disturbing, but people are getting smarter. For example, is it me or have there been a lot of cases lately of like people falling off cliffs? Mm-hmm. And you're like, listen, people don't fall off cliffs either. And you think like that's a good defense, and it's not. Nobody does that. But I think people are looking for ways to get out of like the DNA and CSI part of it by coming up with like a logical thing. So, oh, there you have an allergy. And so that was sort of where that came from for me, of like, oh, that could be an accidental thing that happened. But yes, I mean, I think that case to me, though, there's also one where what's the stuff in the cars, like the sweet fluid that.
Oh, antifreeze.
Antifreeze, right. That one's also, there's been a bunch of cases where like, no, people are not killing themselves with antifreeze. Like, no, that's a terrible way to die. And
I
feel like
familiar with the antifreeze case where the woman faked the suicide note, but she misspelled antifreeze? She called it antifree.
No.
Yeah, she called it anti-free. She thought it was anti-free. And so that's what she wrote in the note. And the police noticed that she kept calling it that, like saying saying antifree. And that's how they put two and two together, that she had actually poisoned her husband and
because
then written the note.
He would totally have known it's antifreeze if he had written
That's actually true.
Yeah,
like A.
That's a good point.
And then B, she's saying it, which is amazing and not dissimilar to the Jinx, right? Where he misspelled Beverly.
That's right. Yeah.
Like that's such a smart thing to pick up on. That's again a little detail that like Hannah, that I like that actually. I might use that because like that's the kind of detail you would notice people could figure out. That's so smart. Oh, I love that.
Your mind's already going. So
no, I know. I'm like,
this
wheels are
has
turning.
barely even come out, and I'm sure your mind's already going to like next projects. What does it look like? How, are you already writing? Are you always writing, I should say, the next story?
Yes, I am always thinking about because one of the things that we've talked about already was, sort of that Murder, She Wrote feeling of being in this small town. I am aware of that. And I mean, there's certain limitations of that, just is what it is. But I also feel like if I can make it different, if I can find another way into these stories, then it keeps the audience sort of feeling fresh about it. And the one before this one we did, they call it a closed door mystery, sort of very Agatha Christie, where we were all trapped together at a masquerade ball. And then the weather turns terrible and there's no way in or out. And so it was sort of fun because the sheriff actually has to do it Hannah's way. And like, they don't want to cause chaos by like a ballroom full of people knowing there's a dead body. But they also have to like secure the crime scene because they will get the CSI investigators in the next day. So it was a fun thing to try to imagine, like, how could, what progress could you make overnight if people were really trapped together? And so I like to try to find different ways in. So some of these cases, are super interesting. I'm interested to see what unfolds with the Bahamas situation because I think, we can all speculate as to how that could have been different. And again, I do feel like you need more than he acted weird. Right. I think you have to have more than that. But I do think, of course, that's an interesting setup.
Which is part of the problem right now, right? It's
it's
just the weirdness so far.
Right.
Maybe
they do talk about that a lot on 911 calls. I don't do a lot of 911 calls because I think just like we talk about, or when I'm listening to you talk about it,
we do talk about it.
There is a rational explanation. I mean, not some of them are absurd, but for the most part, people are in an extreme situation. My dog got stung by a scorpion. And when I was talking to the vet, I was like, and then it turns out, by the way, dogs aren't affected by scorpions. It turns out not to be that big. The vet was like, don't worry about it. But I was hysterical. I mean, I was literally like, couldn't even put words together. And I just didn't expect that from myself. I didn't know how I would handle an emergency call like that. And that's sort of luckily my closest to something like that. But I mean, it is true that people would handle everything different, I
mean, you're probably not like liking people's Facebook posts about buying boats and stuff, but that's something different.
Right.
I mean, that's just
there's always the complication of like, oh, you just got the insurance.
It's a different kind of behavior.
Yeah.
So totally unfair question. Murdaugh. What do you think about the Murdaugh case? Can you believe it?
Well, I sort of do believe it. I know you guys made such a great argument for you make such a great argument, and I really did listen to it thoughtfully. But I have to say, like, her behavior is just so
bad. It's really bad.
Inappropriate. And the same way, like, there are cop behaviors that I also think, I mean, never discussed the what's her face situation in Boston.
Erin Reed.
But I do think that it's fine if you want to behave badly, but then you don't get to have that job. Like if you're gonna wear a badge and carry a gun, I'm holding you to a higher standard. And if you're gonna be in the courtroom, and I know that that's how my husband feels about it. You know, they all take it so seriously, and it's not fair. They have to behave differently, like you just do. And so I think you get away with I know it's not right, but.
I don't think it's not right. I think you're exactly right, because most people who are watching it, it's such egregious behavior. Most people cannot think, well, if that's just how overwhelming the evidence is against Murdaugh, most people can't get past that. They could have watched Murdaugh shoot them themselves, and they're still like, that's not justice, though. She can't do that. And I think that's what was on the South Carolina Supreme Court's mind. I don't think incorrectly. It's so unfortunate for resources,
of course,
taxpayer dollars.
That's the sort of other part of it, the real life of it. But the other thing I was thinking that they do have to consider too is the precedent it sets for people's behavior. If you think you can get away with it and this didn't happen, how many other court reporters, how many other people in that courtroom work group would feel like, oh, I can put my finger on the scale, just the tiny, I don't know. It's a slippery slope a little bit to me.
Which I do. One of my problems with it is it bothers me that she was never really punished. I mean, she's been embarrassed, and this is obviously embarrassing that this happened, but I really feel like she should have gone to prison for this.
So she pled guilty, and now there's no, that's double jeopardy?
To perjury.
About something else. I mean, that's the thing. So she's multiple things she did wrong.
She's done a lot of bad things. She's plagiarized. She lied about showing evidence.
Plagiarism was good. But so there's no way they could pursue that, her behavior, honestly, if they wanted to? Because I think that you're right. She should face consequences.
I don't know what the statute of limitations are is another problem in South Carolina.
Right, of course.
They may have already ran on something like this. I don't know why they didn't pursue it. I don't know if they thought if we pursue this too hard, we might undermine the Murdaugh conviction.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if that's part of the problem. I mean, I'll say this, and we said this when we covered it. It's a feature, not a bug, of the justice system that we're doing this again, because it just speaks to how seriously we take people's rights. Because I think it is a close question whether or not the evidence is so overwhelming that her behavior can't overturn the conviction. But as you said, she is courtroom staff.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not just some Joe off the street.
Right. And the familiarity with which the judge treated her throughout the trial, I think that plays. I mean, I don't know if the Supreme Court was considering that, but certainly the jury would have taken that into a consideration when she's talking to them. And I know that they didn't testify to that. I thought you guys made a really compelling argument for why it didn't rise to the level of bias, but I still sort of understand why it had to go down the way it did.
We just all get blessed with another trial. Oh my God.
Do you think they're really going to do it? Do you really think?
So
Unless
had this
have to.
They don't have to. They can absolutely offer a plea deal. The prosecution, I think, should. I think they should put death penalty on the table now. They didn't seek it the first time. Right. I don't think they knew exactly how to go about it. I don't think there's a Murdaugh is innocent camp. I think I haven't heard it. I mean, look, there's a camp for everybody, but it's a small camp. So I really think that they've already had their hand at it once. The evidence, if you remember, the cell phone data came back during trial. So it got stronger during trial.
Yeah. And the car, the black box in the car.
The black box, and then the friend, who was texting him nonstop. You don't exactly know what's going to come out in trial. They've already had that trial run, and everything broke in the favor of the prosecution. The evidence only got stronger.
Yeah.
So remember, no one is
testify again. I mean,
who cares if he does or does not, because he's already testified, so you can use it, right? So he's a little damned if you do, damned if you don't. Right. And so the prosecution is in the driver's seat here. And I always tell everyone, they forget, but no one is entitled to a plea deal. You can plead guilty, but you're not entitled to get a deal out of it where you get a lesser sentence or cooperation. So he can plead guilty. He didn't do it the first time. He's never said he's guilty. I can't imagine he would outright himself plead guilty, because I think his own ego is too big, and he's already in prison forever. What does he have to lose?
Well, right. There's nothing other than the actual death penalty. I don't see that he would have any reason to admit to it. There is no innocent case. I have heard just recently, for the first time, actually, someone sort of try to pitch this idea that he, similar to the cousin Randy or whatever, like maybe had hired someone to do it.
That's my favorite innocence argument. Is he didn't shoot him himself.
He didn't do it. He just
hired
paid the
someone
person to do it.
Like, and I'm certainly not arguing this. It's just so hard to wrap your head around killing your wife and kid. Like, that's just so.
I'm glad that you feel that way.
And you write stories for a living.
I played I just could never write that. Like, I honestly cannot. It's just so hard to imagine. The kid, of course, it's the son. I mean, obviously people kill their spouses all the time, unfortunately, but like it's the kid that's really hard to understand, that. And so you want to find a distance where like, oh, he thought he was paying someone to scare them or intimidate them in a way that would get him off from the whatever the legal thing that was happening the next day or the consequences with his practice. But again, someone who could steal that kind of money from like those victims, I think you do have to say, like, he doesn't have a conscience, is all you, I mean, maybe.
He's been able to get away with everything because of,
his whole life.
His whole life, he's gotten away with everything.
Can I ask a prosecutor question that people talk about? Sorry, a slight shift in cases, but you know the Idaho, of course, you know, the Idaho guy who killed those 4 college students. What's a good reason the prosecutor did not demand that kid tell people what happened? Like in the plea deal, as you mentioned, they have the death penalty in Idaho, and he pled out to life. Why wouldn't you make him tell people what you did? Explain yourself.
Well, look, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned, because some of it's on the judge, too. Judge has a lot of control over how that goes down. If you compare Koberger to Howerman, so in the Long Island serial killer case.
Rex Howerman, the
Long Island
serial killer.
The super tall.
When he pleaded guilty.
Yes.
Super tall one. When he pleaded guilty, he actually did. The judge asked him questions like, how did you do it? And then asked a bunch of sort of details and made him say those in open court. And I prefer that. It's hard to say exactly what went on behind the scenes in that case. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the answer to exactly what the discussions were between him, his attorney, the judge. It may be local practice is just that you don't do that. I mean, that stuff is powerful, but.
And it's possible that he, that was on the table and that was his like never giving up thing. He'll plead to life without parole, but he will never give you why. And the prosecution ultimately is like, look, we have 4 victims, all their families. They are going to be put through a horrible trial that's going to be a circus because look at all these other cases. And he's willing to plead life without parole. We don't have to prove at trial his motive or why he did it. And we may never know if he doesn't say it. So are we going to stand on quote unquote principle and drag the victims through it? If that's the thing he won't give up, then they may have been like, it's not worth it.
Sure.
That's possible. I think if I were faced with that, unless all the victims' families were like, don't accept it, which they didn't, right? Don't accept this plea deal unless he does an allocution. I mean, a quadruple murder, all the witnesses, it's going to take up months of prep and then potentially months in trial. And then, the media circus that would surround it, all these
in a small town, right? Like
in a small town.
They have that.
Right.
So then my next question about that would be, does he have that professor he had? Like, can he tell his story someday and sell it? What is he would be allowed to do that? Because part of it seems like the control, right? Like he gets to keep that secret and then torture people and torture those families forever with that information and maybe be interviewed, and they should do another season of Mindhunter, right? Like about he has that power.
Pretty much every state has a Son of Sam law, but the initial Son of Sam law, which literally said you can't profit off your crimes, was declared unconstitutional because it was too restrictive of First Amendment rights. So there is probably some way in which he can do that. How exactly it works under Idaho law, I'd have to look into that. But it's almost certainly the case that, I mean, if he wants to. Rex Howerman, part of his plea agreement is he has to go work with the behavioral analysis unit, much like in Mindhunter. Like he's going to submit to interviews with them was part of his plea agreement. So
that's interesting.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe he will talk and it'll give more details and give more closure to the family. I don't know. It's hard to say exactly what will happen. I mean, he's a young guy.
So the OJ book the only reason he had to give up the profits of that was because of the civil trial.
Civil suit.
It wasn't to do with this Son of Sam law.
Right.
Correct.
Because he was acquitted.
So he could do whatever he wanted.
So he could say how he did it, if he wanted to. Yeah.
But that
Gosh,
was
that's
because of
crazy.
the civil suit. Right.
Yeah. So yeah, they had to give him. That's so interesting. Oh my gosh. What other cases are you guys? What's happening next?
My next question to you, as we wrap up, because you've been so generous with your time, was what case do you want us to cover?
Oh my gosh.
A lot of pressure.
I know. I feel like if I had known that, I would have done more research about it. Gosh, I don't know. What do you guys do such interesting cases. That case of the woman from the 40s or whatever.
The Isdale
50s.
woman.
Yeah.
The woman on fire.
I thought that was so interesting. And like, it was interesting to me because there was just all sorts of information and facts, but also like so crazy to think of that time period. I think I even emailed you, Brett, because I was like, oh, well, glasses, like, traditionally, certainly in my world, women and Superman, right? Like puts on glasses and then no one knows what he looks like, right? Like I think back then people might have really believed that you could disguise what you look like by putting on glasses. So I wanted to add that to your discussion. And I think that was a really cool case, like just in terms of something different that bought me time to think of an answer, but
you're really good at filibustering.
Yeah. So I just saw today that there was like a family that was found. Did you guys see that? Just now it came through that there was like a skull that was found that was maybe from a family that had disappeared years ago. Oh, wow. And I don't know if you guys were the ones who covered it, but one time, maybe it was like a Dateline episode, but like there was this one case and I've never been able to track it down if there's an ending, but this guy like walks out of his house and he has a family and then his body was found. Maybe he was in Arizona or somewhere in the South in my memory, the cobwebs of my brain. And then he turns up dead in Washington.
Yes.
And
David
no one
Lewis.
knows. Oh my gosh, of course you know this. Did you guys cover this case?
We did cover it. And he was like watching the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And eating a sandwich.
And he left a sandwich?
And he just walked out and then was in like army fatigues that were not his.
And then he gets hit by a car in Washington the next day.
It wasn't a crime, but he ends up dead like thousands of miles away.
Wait, so we don't know.
We don't know.
I have no idea.
We have no idea who he is. We hope genetic genealogy
it's a crazy case.
will figure out
Just
like
wild.
why.
Yeah.
So that's another one I would want to
like how did he get there? He didn't go to the airport that we know of. What plane ticket did he use? How did he get army fatigues? Why was he walking on the side of the road? What happened to the sandwich?
Make a sandwich?
Did he hate the sandwich? Like he hated salami? And he's like, I
he
just
wanted
wanted
turkey.
Yeah.
Make a sandwich, set your VCR to record the Super Bowl.
Family's
Walk
coming
out of your
home in 12 hours. And he's just like, I'm going to the Pacific Northwest to.
It's like more. You
And where
mentioned
was he?
Murray.
Originally, was he Texas or
It was Texas. He was watching the
I mean, that's not a short journey.
No, he would have to have gotten on a plane based on the time.
Oh, okay. Wait, there's another case that involves that kind of travel. There's a guy who was, I think, convicted of killing his family in Ohio. Or no, wait. Yes, in Ohio. And he was in California away from his family for the weekend. And they spoiler alert, for all your fans, but part of the prosecution was they got like plant experts and bug experts to testify that the rental car had like driven all these miles to Ohio and like those are bugs are frequented in, sort of Idaho and like, whatever, like on the journey, and that you wouldn't have those bugs in California or whatever. And that was part of how they like sort of, because the rental agency, the defense had a pretty good argument. Like they don't keep good track of those miles. You have no idea that guy really that's really where those miles were put on the car because it wasn't super carefully kept. And so that would be an interesting case.
Well, basically any case you want us to do, we will do it. We'll cover Hannah Swensen herself.
Yeah. Well,
there you go.
She hasn't committed any crimes,
but she's innocent. Uncovered a lot. I know. We always say we're just going to talk for like half an hour. Yeah. It never goes half an hour because we love you. If you can't tell, we want you to be on the show all the time as long as you want. Are there any projects that we should know of or keep our eyes out for? In addition to Best Served Cold, which you should be watching right now, you should like end this stream right here, go directly to watch it 25 times in a row. But other than Best Served Cold, is there anything we should keep our eyes out for, something that you're working on?
So I do have a lot of irons in the fire, but nothing I can actually announce right now. But it's certainly thanks to the fans of Hannah Swensen and this most recent one that allows us to make more. So keep watching them and keep watching them again and again, and watch them with your cat and whatever, leave it on for the family. And it just means a lot. And the people, and also just the comments I get from fans on my social media and on Hallmark's social media when you say you like it, they really notice that. That means a lot to them. So keep it coming. And that's how I get to do more fun adventures. And I'm so happy that this one, both of you really did inspire this one for me to make it. So for me, it felt super fun to have that Perry Mason moment.
It was for me. It was for me.
When he looks at that and has this moment and then needs to get, someone to, because you guys have talked about this, you cannot testify yourself. You have to get someone on the stand who's going to tell the story. And so that was really satisfying and fun and different. And I thought we got to see Chad's courtroom world. And it was just as dramatic as the scary endings where the killer has a gun to Hannah. So it was fun in a different way. So I want to keep that coming. So keep tuning in, watch this one again. And then I may or may not have some Christmas snow in my future. So, I'll
Awesome.
keep you posted which I know, Brett, are your favorite. You love those Christmas movies.
I love it.
Don't just give it on him, because there's no dead bodies in Christmas movies. So I always
If you need somebody to walk behind the camera.
I have other podcasts. I listen to a few other podcasts, but they were
okay.
so annoying lately that I just was listening to your original. I started again. And if you'll recall, the reason I reached out to you in the first place is you guys mentioned Hallmark Christmas movies in one of your podcasts. And I was like, maybe they know who I am. I'm going to
Maybe
tweet
they
at
know
them
who you
and try to talk to them and become friends. So you guys, I feel like we're hanging out all the time. I listen to you guys all the time. And so just for all you guys listeners, you could start again. If you're like me, you forget and you can listen to it all over
generous
again.
to us. Seriously, you're too generous to us. Yeah. The day that you tweeted or direct messaged us, I can't remember what it was. I just got a heaving phone call with no words from Brett. I was like, good or bad heaving? I just need to know if this is good or bad. He's like, good. But okay, so that we have a call to action, everybody. Go watch Best Served Cold right now. It's still on Hallmark all the time because
and on Hallmark Mystery
and on Hallmark Mystery.
Yeah, and then Hallmark Plus is
and Hallmark Plus. I've been watching it on Hallmark Plus so that I can have it on demand. But wherever you watch your Hallmark movies, go watch it. Okay, I'm going to have a special little call to action. If you go comment on either Allie's social media or Hallmark social media about how much you loved Best Served Cold, take a screenshot. You can ask us any personal question and we will answer it. Wow. We're not making you do it, Allie. But usually you have to leave a 5-star review.
That's wait, I didn't agree to this. I have terms and conditions.
Brett knows exactly what these personal questions are. When did you first fall in love with Allie Sweeney?
Do you know what I need? Swag. I need prosecutor's swag for my next.
Okay,
next time with you guys?
You know what we just?
I don't know if you want to give us your address, but if you do, we will ship it to you.
Don't give it to Brett. Give it to me. I can be trusted. Okay, guys, we've kept Allie way too long. You heard it here. If you have not watched it, go watch Best Served Cold on Hallmark, Hallmark Mystery, Hallmark Plus, all of the places you watch your Hallmark movies. Go comment on their social media. Say how much you loved it because I'm about to go do it right now. Screenshot it and send Brett your most personal question about how much he loves Allie.
He promised to answer them. I can't wait. I'm going to be listening.
And we'll do an entire Q&A just on that. Thank you so much for giving us an entire hour of your time. You are so busy.
Honestly, so much fun. Oh my gosh. I can't tell you. I was so nervous. I just wanted you guys to like it. I was thinking of you the whole time.
We loved it.
And I'm so happy.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's not always this fun, but when we have the amazing Alison Sweeney here, you know it's going to be a good episode. So until next time, I'm Alice.
And I'm Brett.
And I'm Allie.
And this is the Prosecutor's Legal Briefs. just everyone who's listening knows, we've been talking about this because I'm going to have to carry like several 100 pounds of socks.
You need to come to CrimeCon.
To CrimeCon?
To CrimeCon because they are.
The thing is, like, I'm such a fan. Like, I would be a maniac. They wouldn't leave me.
No, they would love.
They wouldn't
That's
trust me.
so much fun.
That
It's in Vegas if you want to do a last minute.
Wait, when is it?
It's Thursday. It's
Thursday.
Friday, Saturday,
this
and
week?
Sunday.
Oh my
you want
God.
to come?
I kind of do. I do. I have
Why would you not
responsibilities,
come?
but I do want to come. Oh, so what are you guys doing? Tell me everything about CrimeCon. Like, what are you guys doing?
Hello, and welcome to Pluto Phone. If you know the name of the movie you'd like to see, just stream it for free on Pluto TV, where all your blockbuster favorites are landing all summer long. Catch Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
Fantastic. Men
in Black, 1 through 3.
That's what I'm talking about.
Mean Girls.
Shut up.
Titanic.
I'm the king of the world.
And so much more. For showtimes, press nothing. They're free 24/7.
That is so fetch.
On Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.